Good morning, group. Let's see my internet's back on. Okay, silly.
Originally, that it is rotational. So we've had our first 6 months of the rotation, and then we currently rotating.
What's your elections? In the background. 403. Or what is it on? CCNA or what? Let's just look. SABCN News ZA. We go backwards a bit. CNN, it'll be there. There you go.
Turnout and the tension between the two sides will be? Will this be a demonstration of strength of this country, or do you think it's going to be a tale of two cities?
I think it's a bit of both, Chris, which is that, look, I mean, as you said, turnout is strong. I think it surprised actually a lot of people, given that there was a pandemic and there were concerns throughout the process about whether or not that would deter people from voting, whether or not people find enough, given also the president's attack on mail voting that were unfounded and what that did to dampen turnout. But despite all of that, we've seen an increase across the board. We also saw an increase among young voters in turning out, especially in the early vote. And so that's another story that we'll get into and see the different pieces of the electorate that manifested. But, and then I think there also goes to the other element, which is that we could very well end up with Vice President Joe Biden in the White House, people Senate, and House people like Democrats. And so with that great government, what is able to move House Democrats that I talked to yesterday really doesn't want to totally ensure what they can even move through a government made up of those elements because they probably need to take away the Senate and how difficult it can be to get through a lot of the big policies.
It's fine. I actually don't care how you guys do it. I still get the end of the year.
We know that a president sometimes only gets one big item during their first term. And he has a lot of things that he wants to address if he is ultimately the winner.
Just have evidence as an election.
The tale of two cities, as you said, Chris, which is a country that has divided, sides, and that's why it's so close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big red-blue person, I'm really a have-not person. And I think class is really what's playing out here. You can play it with color and you get the rift between have and have not in this country. And it has to be addressed. We just haven't found the right way to do it, John. And that leads me to the idea.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna send the questions to your brother. If I do that information, I'm just gonna make a quick scope over all that because you know that the stuff like this is literally going to take the people like 3-4 minutes to answer the questions instead of a way of doing this via
fraudulent process.
this is
It's so demonstrably wrong. But why?
Yes, a little more now. I'm gathering that most people are doing it.
Well, Chris, he's picked a lot of wrong things to target and told a lot of lies during his presidency. He's paid a price for it throughout his presidency. We know that he's the first president with polling errors who never reached 50% approval. I do think that, as Laura and David said, we have a stark demonstration of how divided the country is. We've also
Remember, most of our students actually come from TV colleges, so they can interview them. So those guys are okay. Some of them come from varsity with different whatever, they can interview guys there. The guys that are in the industry can interview the guys there. It's just that at science conference, we're so enclosed in such small little environments. So you know what, put it on the survey, attach it an annexure,
The task for the
is
country
fuck
is to try to bridge the divide in some way, to try to pull the country together in some way. He has the ideal set of personal characteristics to attempt to do that. Don't know if he can, it's going to be very difficult. Laura said presidents get a chance to do one thing in their first year. If he's got a Republican Senate, don't know if
at least you
that one
producing
thing,
proper
It's
results.
going to be very tough. Republicans have been very unyielding in taking on Democratic presidents. But the contrast with Donald Trump served to Joe Biden's benefit in this campaign. That's why he's leading this race. And if what is needed is the staff or resolve all those divisions, Joe Biden, by virtue of his biography, by the resilience that he's shown in the face of personal setbacks, by his instinct as a person, is very well suited to try to do that. Don't know if he can.
Will the third time be a charm? Go ahead, David. Yeah, I just think it's such an important point because he does have that skill set, and Americans tend to get it right. If we end up with divided government like that, it's a real test of whether we can get back to some kind of politics if possible, or whether the rigidity of our differences are what prevail because people just want to win the argument. But the prospect of a divided Congress is very interesting because Biden has the ability to bridge it. That'll be the test. David Gregory, thank you very much. Laura and John, let's stand by for a second, take a break. President Trump, Joe Biden, waking up this morning. No idea which one of them will lead this nation after January 20th. But we might all know the answer, and not just know it, but know it in the next few hours. That's why we're here for you and with you. So stay with CNN.
Yeah, exactly. Producing your results and getting for that section of the work. I'm really honestly openly saying to you tonight that you can like that part. I think the result.
No, but in these times we have to understand that people actually can't go close to another election. I mean, so you absolutely cannot deduct marks, and I will choose to deduct marks because somebody sends out a survey instead of actually doing an ongoing face-to-face interview. Times have changed now, and we have to change as well.
Farm programming, produced, designed, internationally respected goods and services with a unique.
I mean, we can't take that on the student that fucking goes and hit us. That's not fucking.
1.5 billion customers through free trade agreements with a highly skilled workforce and average GDP growth of 3.2% over the last 3 years. Explore the diverse range of goods and services Columbia has to offer and discover what makes them stand out. That's Columbia.
In any case, if you did an interview, you would have to schedule questions anyway, which is the same as a fucking question. Ek beteken dis dieselfde as 'n volkslied, right? Jy moet iets verhaal en dit moet be anyway. So nee, ek gaan nie ek is nie so nie. Dis nie my. Dis nie nou wat ek doen.
I've got a plane in Porto, Czech Republic. This is CNN.
Ek sê vir jou, ek gaan eers mens fucking check. As hulle gecheat het, ek cheat. Let's just get this fucking cheat.
Another shot.
Fucking sorry. Ek het my klas voor en ek het my notas half en half gedoen, so ek is back in klas toe. Baie laat.
Since day one, GSTV has been bringing all the biggest
I will
stars.
rather give the student the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, you join free and get rewarded by everything you can enjoy more. What you love, like upgrades, box office movies, on us, birthday rewards, Showmax discounts, and everybody gone by experiences. With much more to come. And a little of that, just when you bought the GSTV.
As long as it answers the research questions, I'm fucking happy as a big shit, and trust me. I can't remember 47 assignments worth of research questions at this point in time.
National University of
So I'm just gonna read through it and it works.
The codes of innovation turning.
Alright.
Our students and alumni are committed champions of transformation and drivers of progress. Pioneers of creating impactful solutions through science and technology. Botswana is
Wanneer jy weet
national
hou
for
op om te
science and
skryf.
technology, driving change. Call 493-1000 for details.
I will even answer one of your questionnaires as anonymous. I don't want to do that.
You asked Phil Mattingly to describe the state of play of this election in one word, I guarantee you it will be Pennsylvania. Why?
Well, math, to start with, Joe Biden with 253 electoral votes, you don't need to win any other state to win the state of Pennsylvania. That's 20 votes right there. Also, the DNA of it follows what we saw in Michigan and Wisconsin. Starts with red, that's the county election day votes.
Look, sorry, man. That's
Red,
right.
blue starts to catch up.
There's a consent. Ons kan nie verwag dat die uitbraai onder uitkies in die eerste kry. Daar's twee wetgewings, nee. Maar hulle moet hulle volgende moet hulle vastskryf doen om die education en te kry om die inkomste te kry. En ek gaan vir jou voorstel, want ons kom lektore vir die en vir die, nee, want ek kan dit sê, ek doen nie, of ek doen weet, maar doen sorry, die saak So as Heinrich gaan, dan sit jy met fucking CP in by my, om te lunch ons lees nie, genoeg mense nie, en gaan weer moet aanstel, Dr. CC het gesê, en ons druk moet die other dag. He has now got to start contracts before the end of the
No
year.
disappointments in terms of the voting and the counting. Let's give it over to Don Lemon. The ultimate disappointment we've suffered so far, Don, was that we have a president who tried to disrespect this amazing turnout as a function of something going wrong. No, everything went right. People came out the way we never imagined. Now we just have to count. You don't want to disrespect the process. This is sacred. People's right to vote. You guys talked about, you said the one word that Phil is going to remember, and that's Pennsylvania. Well, someone who knows all about Pennsylvania is Pennsylvania Democratic Senator Bob Casey. He joins me now. Thank you, Senator. Good morning to you. And thank you. Good to be with you. So let me ask you, we got our magic wall. We see you got your wall up behind you. And as I understand, you have been keeping close track of all the counts that are coming out. You even had your own map. So my question is, do you think the votes are still out there for the former Vice President Joe Biden in Pennsylvania put him over the top? I hope they put him over the top, but Joe Biden can win the state, no question about it.
You think he's gonna win the state? Why are you saying that?
Well, we still got about 400,000 votes outstanding, and most of those votes are still just dictated and others indicated are in Philadelphia, suburban counties, and some in Allegheny as well. And so that's to be overwhelmingly for Joe Biden. Some places 71, 25, and other places 80 or 85. So he'll be able to overtake him, especially when we get a much bigger Philadelphia number. We've only seen with Philadelphia
That's
about
perfect. I got 18 at the moment, but then 3 hours ago.
then that alone just allows them, to have the margin go in Joe Biden's direction.
Now, forgive me, Senator, I don't want to make any assumptions. This could just be your decor or your decoration behind you. But I see the map behind you, and I see you've got numbers on it. And for what reason? What is that? What are the numbers up there?
Well, John, this is low-tech gun game, okay? There's more filmatic
You
there.
gotta get them both in. Go on.
Filmatic, yeah. Philly was plus 71 for Barack Obama. Plus 67 for Hillary Clinton. That was the percentage margin. I think Joe Biden is going to be here in the middle, or might even meet the Obama number, and that'd be significant. President Obama almost won Philadelphia by 500,000 because the turnout is so much higher. Joe Biden might get to that, but
Well, that's fine. I'm going to speak to Dr. CC
Now, how
about
are you
it.
keeping track of those numbers? Do you have
Before
your
we
own
start
sort of
doing those
internal
conference, I will see
system? Are you watching the news networks? Are you getting it from the states? Do you have folks at your office?
Wednesday. I have to take my brother's vegan on Monday, but I'll speak to
it's a
the
coordination of looking at that as a result,
university
but
that
also
area.
relying upon very
We're
smart people
definitely going to have.
do this for a living. In Pennsylvania, Kevin Mack and the Voter Project have been crunching these numbers, a team of people for weeks preparing. They've been crunching them ever since. Yeah. So they've indicated, and others have indicated, they think that Joe Biden is going to
The last part of my question there was, have you spoken to the former vice president or anyone at his campaign that reached out to you?
And then I will suggest that we also bring the 3D and design into our curriculum.
Okay, go on.
I'm not going to reveal the content of the conversation. No, John, he was very upbeat and he was checking in for that very purpose. What he's seeing in different counties and what's happening in the state. So he was just checking in. But look, this vote this morning that will commence in Philadelphia will be substantial. And there's another factor here that you can take a look at. Last time in Philadelphia, 2% of the vote went to several third and fourth party candidates. Now you have just one third party candidate, and he's getting a very low number statewide, like a little more than 1%. So it's possible, because Philadelphia is so intensely Democratic, that even that would add to Joe Biden's margin. But it's going to be a big margin, and we haven't even talked about the suburbs.
So here's the thing, we have been hearing that we're gonna get some information from Pennsylvania, today. Are we going to hear, because of England, Pennsylvania, he's one of those. Are we gonna hear anything that could possibly put the former vice president over the line of the 270 or over?
It could be that number. We'll see how much they count. It's roughly 400,000 county ballots. Most of them are for urban counties.
Exactly, you've got all the, you're not going for the shepherd, the fat men sitting on it. You are so talented. I remember thinking, my God, when you stood up at that curriculum development course, you had an absolute natural flair. That's piece of stuff.
But
Still need to
80%
brought it back on.
that space, or whatever number.
So you know nothing about
Ja,
that.
nee, ik weet het gewoon eens.
Whether they release some charges,
Was maar,
votes and.
I don't know what my best specific. I don't know. It is actually the white position is but I don't have one that is specific on something that's competent. So I don't want to apply for it because I'm not competent.
Today,
Still single that specific. What I'm saying is,
Okay, so you mentioned
that
Philadelphia.
is actually
Let's talk
very
about
great
some of your,
mistake.
we see what your magic wall has, right? But
They
on our magic wall, which we be looking at, Philadelphia, Montgomery, you mentioned Chester, Bucks, you mentioned some of the suburbs. What do you think? we
En
should
ek op die nou iets vertel, as jy by Potchefstroom, by jy lees.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting my voice confused because of our council. But Montgomery, Hillary Clinton won by 21 points, big win, 90,000 votes. Joe Biden, as of last night, is 26% of Montgomery, so it'll be a bigger margin, well over 100,000, just for Montgomery County.
That's why I've been really to touch, they wanted me, but my God, for 2,000 a month, and I was making 46
It won't
times.
be as big as Montgomery, but it'll
Right,
be big.
exactly.
Probably will win it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 55. Then you go to Delaware County, that number was, they'll get more than 60% there, but they still have maybe, I don't know, 15 to 20% to count. And Chester County.
Nee, maar dat ook wel niet van slim. Dan komt de koers door de regering, maar de koers is betaald dan nog meer. En they was like traditional universities. How does it work? I mean, there's a sliding scale, but I mean, the drug position scale is there, and it is what it is.
Adding a lot.
Potch is way worse than ours, and it's Potch by schools.
Pittsburgh. But, that was plus,
They bought the research professor that I worked with at Potch. They bought
well,
her
yes,
from
17, I'm sorry, 17,
BT.
Hillary. His margin will be 20 or more. I guess 25.
Wow. So you're quite sure the former vice president's gonna win, Pennsylvania? Listen, no one knows for sure until all the votes are counted, but Senator Macy, we appreciate you sharing your magic wall and your knowledge.
I'm still around next year, then actually I'll get an increase in all finally break the 20 mark.
Well, there you go. Make sure you stay with us. We're gonna continue to count the votes as they come in. You heard what he said. Sometime by noon today, we could get some numbers that may be determinative in Pennsylvania. We shall see. Our continuing coverage right after this.
Я думаю, как вижу,
Yeah, that's.
я рейс маунен таман.
If we could introduce ourselves to an alien life form, what would we say?
Hello from the children of planet Earth. Здравствуйте, приветствую вас.
What you're doing is something very important. You are trying to make contact with another civilization.
Those voyages carry a common phonograph record. A message. Resulting the sights and sounds of Earth. I was looking for images where I think progress. Agriculture, travel, science, medicine. Sports was only one. But if you were to choose one sporting event that was global and perhaps most representative of humanity, it would be the Olympics. And if you were to choose one athletic that was basic to all sports, well, you running.
And what if the athletes chosen to represent humanity were never told? They didn't learn the truth until decades later.
This will outlive our planet.
I just wonder how you feel about it.
Wow. It's just not something that you can't wrap your mind around.
What are you sketching again? What are you sketching? And I think, you know, and you want to do, what are you sketching again? Yes. Yes. Oh, so mommy girl, there you go. Nicely. Nicely.
The CEO Perspex, by the way, Perspex means professional specifications, which is appropriate because this watch has its origins in a 1965 expedition to Antarctica by a Japanese crew. Seiko was the giant
I'm telling you,
watch
it's true.
making of the time, so he got the job of making a watch that could endure the harsh conditions of Antarctica. This is a watch you can wear up to 1,000 feet underwater. It almost reminds me of the Japanese samurai warrior, all those different layers of metal and wood can take a beating and it can respond. So if you're looking for something that has that robustness, that strength, but at the same time you just want something that looks really striking, will grab people's attention, this is a great watch.
When you follow a story, you may be asked to take risks. And sometimes there is a path that's not marked. We're embarking troops with pre-position and the Americans would advise them. The projects are a test for Hamas. Any understanding between one and the other.
Wow, why not? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Process so they can get out of this facility. And that's where change happens. The one thing they have in common is determination to keep going. This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Yeah, we that as a matter. What I'm saying is that look at evidence now, for example, on this position X,
We watched President Trump leave Georgia erode,
and
and we're waiting to see what happens as more Pennsylvania votes continue to
if
come
the
in.
junior election gets 57, that's not bad. And I know when London, when he started working at BT,
The
elections
elections.
was like 7 years ago, 7, 8 years ago.
In the lead
He got about
by
40,000.
64,414
I
votes.
know that both Milan and David's salaries is, yeah, probably around 60,000 at the moment. I know when they come back to the station, he started off, was 96.
Later this morning,
He got about 100,000 cancelled. So,
enough information, we'll see. Georgia, 16 election votes, also very
I have
much
taken
in play.
18,000 their salary drop just to, with all my years experience, to go in as a lecturer, but at the bottom of the science.
Before it really got started. So, 96% of the vote is in, about 5% there. It's very close, certainly in recount territory, if that becomes necessary, Don. because-
Well, you saw I can't know that my
Now, all the
education
different
class.
pieces fall. If Joe Biden wins and it doesn't matter about Georgia's count, then the recount becomes,
You don't think
there's
it
no
is,
reason to
I'm
have
just
it.
going into
But
class.
we've got a long way to go. However, today seems, by all indications, to be a very informative day for the American people.
Yeah, it is, and listen, I think we should talk about this, because we've been paying attention to it hour after hour here on television. It's our job to do it. People have gone to bed and they're up now, and we're still here, knock on wood. But here's the thing.
I was agreeing myself to the fines against 60,600.
Arizona,
So it's 561,000 per minute.
The president is complaining about counting the vote. Well, maybe
This
he's
book is
open
really,
to
that
that.
wasn't what I was reading on that.
If he allows the votes to get voted, the votes going to be counted anyway. But maybe he's going to win. Pennsylvania is tightening, as you said, we just spoke.
Dude, honestly, Christina's prepared om Rhino ut the liv.
He believes that.
Fortsätt med sånt för det.
He believes that the former vice president will take Pennsylvania simply because, as we've been stating here, as you've been talking about, where those votes are coming in. And then you have
Thanks, Maria, I
Georgia,
will
Georgia
do.
tightening as well. And you have the president come out yesterday and say, listen, Pennsylvania, we're ahead. Why are they not calling this for us? This place, we're ahead. Why are they not calling it for us? It's because of what's happening now. It's happened in every single election, especially a presidential election, a countrywide election. The votes come in.
Stu, you okay? I'm going live. Okay, I'm about 6 minutes away from going in. You don't want a cup of tea? Oh, no, I'll do it in 6 minutes. Oh, okay. I can do it in 6. Hi guys, are there anybody in there? Is anybody with me? Let me just check whether I can be seen on the stream. I just need my phone for that, excuse me. Can you see me on my live stream?
With that one, the Rhino one, it's jewelry manufacturing and gemology and metallurgy. I don't have that down in my name. I know this for a fact. I will definitely not get the position. You must have a BTEC honors NQF level 8 in jewelry design and manufacturing.
I don't seem to be able to find the kids. Just check if you can see me. I'm live with the pictures behind me. Good afternoon, guys. I'm going to give the guys another 5 minutes just to try and log in to the stream. Right, okay. I'm not going to wait for the guys, actually. People, they can log into the YouTube live that is on the video anyway. This is recording. Right, what we're going to do today is completely different. We're going to start with the most effective learning environments that you can study under. So I'm going to go through that slideshow with you guys. And we're going to speak about childhood development and how you learn and the effective environments that you learn in. And I'll be speaking about a couple of programs that I'm also currently involved in how in this day and time do you actually produce a conducive learning environment for children. So a progressive acquisition of various skills or abilities, such as your head support. You know, when a baby, you can't support your head, so your mother always used to cradle you in her arms. Speaking and learning and expressing the feelings. How do you do this when you're a baby? How do you tell your mother that your tummy is sore when you're a baby? This implies that you have to grow, you have a change in shape. or a form or a structure resulting in improved working. And it implies qualitative changes. In other words, the changes that are happening in your brain all the time. Growth and development. The bigger you get, the more you can walk, the more you can run, you can skip. These go together, but they happen, unfortunately, at different rates. Right. Okay. So we're first going to speak about what is growth. Growth is the progressive increase in the size of a child. I mean, it doesn't stay a little 2-month-old forever, okay? And your parts of your body, as you all know, start to develop. This means an increase in size, your height. Some of you put on weight, you get slightly fatter. Your length extends, and all of this can be measured. But can development actually be measured? Right. So this is the big thing that we actually going to look at. How do you measure it? Factors that affect your growth and your development. Number one, child's pattern of growth and development is dependent on your genetics, obviously what you've inherited from your mother and your father and whatever genes they've inherited. And it can also be from environmental factors. And in here, I'm going to bring in a bit of biology at the same time. Just hold on. Oh no. Who's giving mechanics? Boy, that's why I've only got 5 of you in. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me ask secretary, what do you want me to do? Sorry guys, just hang on for me a second. They can on YouTube. Apparently there's a mechanics class. Okay, because this is recorded, so I'm carrying on. So they can go and look me up on YouTube and see our lecture, because I actually quite like this intimate thing. He says, all right, right, so let's carry on. There's also genetic factors that come into play in terms of your growth and your development as a child. Some children, as you know, are born with things like Down syndrome, where unfortunately their growth, their development, their sexual behavior, things like that becomes very, very different. Even if they like into their teens and their 20s, they're still thinking like an 8-year-old. There are a lot of genetic problems and a lot of environmental problems. Right, you've also seen all the guys in Ethiopia. Sure, you're not unaware of this, of this fact, is that the children there, all they eat is millipops. So what happens? They get kwashiorkor with that huge, huge stomach. So they don't grow in terms of height. They just grow in terms of their tummy. And that is called kwashiorkor. So environmental things and genetics and all different things play a huge part in your growth and development. It's actually said that, and especially in languages and things, children can learn, I can't tell you how many different languages by the age of 2, because that's when you're most susceptible to absorbing languages and etc. at the same time. Right. What happens in terms of genetics? Just an example, a child genetically is determined to be tall, grows more rapidly than a child that is genetically determined to be short. And I'm going to give you an exact example in my household. My child's father is very, very tall, and my firstborn is 6 foot, and she's a woman. And I can tell you the effects that it has on her back, just being genetically so tall. You've all seen me, you know me. My father was a very, very big man, and so I am tall, and I produce this even taller child. So it does have an effect on it. A child genetically determined to be clever develops, their development happens far better than a child that is less intelligent, that has parents that are less intelligent. There are also unfavorable factors, people, and these are things that we have to, and even at the moment, the world that we're living in at the moment is very unfavorable towards us. Number one, a huge problem worldwide, it's not only in South Africa, is malnutrition. It's hunger, absolute hunger. And as I explained to you, you've seen these Ethiopian and Somali babies. I mean, they've got kwashikor, they've got these huge stomachs. That's the first effect. The second effect is infections. Most people up in Africa and around here and in the townships and in the rural areas don't have access to antibiotics and things. And all of these will form complications in the development. You can have congenital malformations, which is something that's carried through your genetics, so it carries on through your family. There might be hormonal disturbances, the disability or the lack of emotional support. So you don't have, in these days, they're not only testing what is called your intelligence IQ, your intelligence, but they're also starting to now to realize that, well, long ago actually, that there's a thing called an emotional intelligence, and that can be stunted depending on your environment that you're in. You have a lack of play. I mean, I think all children at the moment in lockdown have an absolute lack of play and getting themselves dirty. I can remember making mud cakes and building mud houses, the lack of play and all those things. Remember, and I'll give you a very, very good example of this now. I have 2 children that are completely the opposites of one another. One started walking at 8 months. She never crawled. And I remember going to the pediatrician and saying, oh my God, here is a mess. This child got up at 8 months and she walked. She never crawled. She will never be able to do science and never be able to do maths, because that crawling action is a fine motor skill that develops within you. My second child crawled for weeks and weeks and weeks and then got up and walked. And I promise you today, if you see my eldest child running, you will laugh. She cannot run. It's unbelievable, these measuring techniques and these milestones that people put you through. And you know what? I found it completely unnecessary, because on the one hand, my child is a complete academic, you know. So there's so many factors that are involved. If you look at this diagram, I'm just showing you, look at this from walking. As I said, crawling. This second picture, my first child never did. She never crawled one day in her life. She was standing on her play gym, and the next thing she got up and walked. And from that, she has no what they call I'm trying to think of the right word now. It will come to me. Like when she runs, she puts herself down and the whole body goes. It's like really weird. But anyway, don't worry about that. Okay. All right. So what can we do to sort out all these problems to make a proper learning environment? First thing that we can do is we can cultivate learners to have habits of balanced eating. And I promise you, people, even though you think this is not true, balanced eating and getting in the right amount of vegetables and the right amount of fruit and the right amount of carbohydrates and the right amount of protein definitely has something to do with your brain. You guys have to remember, I have a master's in the brain. I studied this for very long. You need nutrition. You need your omega-3 to make your brain work. That's why schools have adjusted to feeding schemes, because children were going to school, rural areas, township schools. They're going to school with nothing in their tummies. They've got nothing, and they're expected to go into class and try and concentrate. And you've all been hungry in your lives when your little tummy goes grrr, grrr all the time. And all you can think of is, oh my goodness, my tummy needs food. You're not concentrating on the maths teacher in front of you. So a lot of schools have introduced feeding schemes into schools so that their students can concentrate. And believe me, you people, there are that meal that those children get for the day is the only meal they have for the day. There are so many of us that are so much less fortunate than what we are. Okay, so I'm going on to the next one because I don't want to waste your data. Also, outdoor play. You cannot sit inside in an environment that you closed up. Children need to play. You learn your sensory motor skills by playing outdoors. There is nothing with going outside for a walk or a run or I know that I've left Science Park very late at night and some guys are busy walking with their soccer boots in their hands, and you have to find the balance between studying, taking a break and walking away and just saying, you know what, I need a 15-minute break and let me just walk outside and get some fresh air. Remember, me and the brain, when you are moving, your body is producing oxygen in your blood, and that oxygen is going to your brain, and your brain is thinking. So it's very, very important. And another thing, and this is where I'm talking about emotional intelligence, is how we treat each other. For goodness sake, we must all have respect for one another. You know, when you meet somebody, you don't know what has happened in their past. Don't look at a person and judge them immediately. If you are doing that, it's incorrect. You should be actually looking at a person saying, I wonder what happened to you and how low you've had to go to stoop to these levels. Not, oh, you're a piece of rubbish, you're lying on the streets. I mean, you've seen the amount of homeless people, and COVID-19 has not helped us. I was actually just driving with my brother this morning, and I said, I have never seen so many bodies in the streets as what they are, begging at robots, and people that probably had successful businesses. All right. There's no single optimum place for learning, but people, as you get older and older and you are more used to yourselves and you have a routine and etc., you will find where your best space is and your best time is to study. Some people can work and study through the day. That's perfect. Some people are night owls, so they'll sleep during the day, but when everything is quiet at night, they get up and study. I am a studier from 2 until 5 in the morning. That is my best time when I'm most productive. So it varies from one individual to the other. But remember, you've always got to have a positive learning environment. And I know for some people, that's why a lot of you guys come back to res. Home is not a, when you go home, your parents expect you, listen, cut the grass, etc. You don't have a positive learning environment. And I think one day, I'm actually going to treat you to see how different people study because of the different areas inside your brain that actually spark when you start studying. Some people need notes. Some people study with music. Some people need to feel and touch. But that's for another lecture. I'll give you that one, but I won't test you on it. Just to know that there are so many different types of intelligences, and the intelligence can actually cross over one another. So you can be a person that's really good with words, but you can also only do it when you've got metal banging in the background. It's so different. You know how much I jump around class. I am a kinesthetic learner. I cannot sit still. You guys have seen me. You've never seen me sit on a chair in your lives. All right, then we have to work out what our goals are for teaching and learning. What activities will best support learning? And this is what I was talking about, the balance. You know what, even if you're not into exercise, you don't want to jog. I mean, the worst thing I could ever imagine, the most boring thing is actually jogging around a street. How boring. But at least take a nice walk and go out there and feel the fresh air and breathe in the air. And that makes just such a difference when you actually manage to just switch off for 5 minutes. When I mark postgrads, guys, and there's 250 of them, after each one that I have marked, I actually take a walk, and I walk around, and I come back, and I sit and I mark the next one. So it's very important to get that balance. Right, there's another slide that you can see that you guys can go through. Right, so what are the characteristics of effective learning and teaching? Is the learning environment. Can you imagine if I'd walked in the first day you ever saw me and just screamed and shouted at you and told you to shut up? Immediately, we would not have had the connection that you and I have today. So it's got to be a positive learning. I'm here to help you. You're going to help me. And together, we will grow. So that is very, very important. Also, your classroom environment. Yes, people, there have to be rules. When you go out and you go and teach, there have to be rules. You have to create some sort of platform when Johnny, you're jumping on the chair, then you're jumping on Sibusizwe's desk because you're a person that learns not studies by movement. Give the guy a yoga ball that he can roll around on, that he's not bugging the other person that is maybe somebody that sits and concentrates. So it's so important to know people's different intelligences, but I'll get onto that. I will give you guys a really good lecture on that. And what about the teacher? What about me when I walk in front of you? I have to make you excited about the lesson. It would be so, can you imagine me if I walked on today is whatever, and I read out of a textbook. Oh my goodness. I had so many of those at university, I fell asleep. No, you have to be passionate about what you do. And this love of your students and the love to get them through and not wanting to see people fail. Then you're in the wrong field. Get out. Go and do something else. Become a mortuary or whatever. but you only ever want the best for your students. And you must be motivational. Come on, guys. That's why I say to you, we're going to do exciting things. If I'm not exciting, I cannot expect you to be exciting. And that's terribly important when you're teaching. Okay. There's a, you know, and you know what, don't ridicule your friends. Some people do badly, some people do well. You know what, give the guy a pat on the back and say, you know what, next time it's going to be better. There's such a thing about positive energy that goes into people, and whether you can sense somebody's energy that's positive and somebody's energy that is negative. You know, if a guy fails the test, you pat him on the back and you say, you know what, next time you're going to nail it. Motivation all the way. Okay.